Beware of fuzzy goals. Leadership and executive meetings often result in a to-do list of internal and external improvements. Improve PSE quality, reduce complaints, be more customer-centric, and increase satisfaction and loyalty. What are our strategies to accomplish these? What is the plan to get us there? Which initiatives will achieve our goals, and who is leading them? What are reasonable timelines and budgets for these initiatives? What success criteria or metrics will we use to oversee and measure the project and its effectiveness? Fuzzy goals lead to unclear or no plans, accountability, and actionable tasks. Here's how to make these more actionable and ultimately more successful. 1. Break it down. Improve PSE quality is too broad a goal. Determine which areas of our PSE need which types of improvements. If we don't know, create generative research projects that will answer these and other questions. 2. Evidence, data, and knowledge. Now that we have our issues in more bite-sized pieces, what do we know about what's going wrong for our business or customers? Even if we think we know what is going wrong or why, challenge that. We might have incomplete data. We could be relying on guesses or assumptions. Check our voice of the customer and existing research data and insights. Researchers might know where key pain points and opportunities exist. Try a team exercise where teammates and stakeholders add sticky notes to a virtual or physical whiteboard with 4 quadrants: unanswered questions, guesses and assumptions, potentially outdated or incorrect information, and what they wish they knew. These may sound similar, but rephrasing things often inspires people to think from different angles and add more notes. This whiteboard feeds generative research goals. 1 or more studies will be needed to answer questions and replace guesses and assumptions with knowledge. 3. Problem statements. Write problem statements based on what our research and data reveal. 4. Delta CX Impact Map. Now that we have problem statements, we can map the current negative impact on customers and the business. We can consider root causes and the KPIs and OKRs we will monitor to measure success and performance. 5. Delta CX Change Dependency Map. Map out anything that could block the change you are trying to create. These might be internal processes, culture, deadlines, resources, available staff, or anything that could be an obstacle to accomplishing our goals. Every blocker is a risk to identify and mitigate as early as possible. 6. Prioritization. Now that we understand each problem and have an impact map and change dependency map for it, we can bring the project team together for a prioritization exercise. We decide which problems we will tackle in which order. Each domain can start planning and road mapping. 7. Accountability. Who is accountable or responsible for what? How will we hold that person accountable if a project fails or shows poor outcomes? What does accountability look like? What is in place to inspire decision makers to do and be better? Accountability will be discussed in more detail at the end of this chapter. End of list. Whether or not we started with something fuzzy, now we have a more actionable plan. Prioritization must include customer perspectives. I heard about a company requiring product managers and UX designers to estimate how much every proposed project will raise a particular customer peripheric KPI. If they want to initiate a project around fixing bugs customers complain about, they have to estimate how much the project would lift the metrics execs care about, even if the fixes have nothing to do with that metric. All roads lead to lift this one metric. This is misguided and requires psychic abilities. The company's prioritization framework was based on how many clicks on this one button a project might create. This is another example of an unhealthy focus on lifting KPIs at any cost, and how customer peripheric KPIs manifest in team behavior, work, and decisions. Additionally, this company had research and data showing that customers wanted to click that button as little as possible. Prioritizing projects that inspire or force people to click that button might make some execs happy, but this is customer peripheric at its core. The prioritization matrix must include the impact on customers. Many frameworks use terms like customer impact or user benefits, but they are often from the perspective of the business, such as a user benefit defined as someone remaining a customer for a longer period of time. That might be a benefit the business gets from users, but is not necessarily a benefit to the user. Here are some customer impact factors that you can include in your prioritization framework. 1. Self-service. PSE that allow customers to take care of their own tasks without depending on customer support. 2. Customer demand. PSE that customers are requesting or complaining about. 3. Attrition and deal breakers. Addressing why we lost customers or failed to acquire them. End of list. You can also try my Delta CX Decision Matrix. Web link cxcc.to/A167. The 4 criteria for judging are how well this issue relates to our strategies or goals, the number of customers affected, severity or urgency, and the cost to reverse, which estimates the relative time and effort required to redo our solution later. Also note that we are not prioritizing features. We are prioritizing problem statements, pain points, or opportunities. Features, especially if decided before generative qualitative research, are guesses of what PSE to build. They might be solutions in search of problems. They might be stakeholder ego projects or competitor rip-off projects. Having a list of potential features doesn't mean we understand customers, are likely to create the best solutions, or are customer-centric. Even if we try to use good research evidence for feature prioritization, we are still putting the solution cart before the research horse. Value-led process playbooks. A crucial part of your customer centricity efforts will be creating or updating process playbooks. How should we do product or service discovery? What role does research play? What does CX do? Where are others involved or not involved? When do you need CX? What can you do yourself if there is no CX resource? How does CX work with Agile or Scrum? How do we bake great customer experiences, accessibility, and 5-star quality into the definition of done? Get it all in the playbook. Write the playbook for the change you want to see. Don't write anything in here that gives away a domain's power. Watch for anything in the playbook that you might try to undo later with training or evangelism. This is your chance to set the rules. You will need internal training or other sessions to help socialize these new processes. Make sure the training and playbooks detail who to speak to if there are questions about the new processes or suggestions for improvement. Also note that there should be one playbook per process. The more playbooks we have for the same process, the less standardized our ways of working will be, which could end up causing inefficiencies, confusion, and conflicts. Warning: many playbooks you can find online or from corporate trainers were made by product managers, often giving a lot of power to product. They might be product-led or engineering-led rather than genuinely being value-led. This can run against the change you're trying to shepherd. Rewrite these playbooks or create your own. Make sure the playbook includes details about 1. Each step of the process, the tasks for this step, and why we do this step. Create swim lanes or boundaries so people don't overlap each other's jobs. We also want to differentiate between who owns or leads a step versus who is involved or a contributor. You can use a RACI matrix, RACI, to indicate who is responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed in each step. Describe boundaries that will fix some of the problems you're seeing. For example, you might say that only CX decides when we need a workshop, they choose the methods, and are the facilitators. That will stop other domains from running design workshops. 2. Outputs or outcomes of this step. Make sure these are actionable so they inform and drive the next and later steps. 3. Tools, templates, or methods we prefer for this step. 4. Success criteria. How do we know that this step went well? Can this be measured? 5. Common pitfalls. What mistakes are typically made during this step? What does failure or having done something incorrectly look like? Again, this is your chance to create some boundaries and undo some bad habits or processes. End of list. Futurespectives and pre-mortems. Futurespectives, also called pre-mortems, are exercises where the cross-functional team gets together to imagine the future. What will it be like when this project is completed? In imagining our future, we can look at what might block us from the best possible outcomes. It's easy to dream up the happy path where the future is bright, if not perfect. Customers love our PSE. Everything is going to plan. But a futurespective is designed to help us now by recognizing what might cause poor outcomes. We can identify and then mitigate those risks. Imagine an ugly, undesirable future. Our project fails. Support channels are overwhelmed. We're having a higher call volume than normal. Please hold. There are angry tweets and social posts, and our stock price drops. Sales reports that customers are leaving or threatening to leave. Offering a discount isn't helping. 1. How might the unwanted future outcome happen? What can we envision blocking our project's success or successful customer outcomes? 2. What or who could be a blocker or obstacle? Are we lacking the time or budget that we need? Is the team being manipulated by people higher up? 3. What potential outside forces might hurt us? Do we have strong competitors? Is something politically, socially, or regionally going on that might affect this project's success? 4. What's under the tip of the iceberg? Above the water, it might look sunny and inviting. Beneath the water lies an iceberg that can derail our project or its success. What could that be? End of list. Part of the exercise is to document risks, decide how we will mitigate the risks, and who will be accountable or responsible. If you hold a future perspective, put sticky notes on a board, and then do nothing about risk, you've missed the point. Address and fix all of these problems before they become realities. Sidebar: possible outcome: shoplifters? While I was a senior UX architect at Macy's.com, I worked on in-store app functionality that would allow customers to scan their items, pay with their app, and walk out of the store after having security tags removed. I wanted to use the app's existing checkout flow and screens. The product manager and engineering lead overruled me, claiming they had a better and cleaner app checkout. The engineering lead designed what he liked and told his team to build that. I warned that two different app checkouts would confuse users, especially those used to our current app checkout. The engineering lead's design had multiple screens and steps, but could easily be mistaken for a one-screen, one-click checkout due to the layout and wording. I asked the product manager and engineering lead to imagine the possible outcome if someone gets the checkout wrong. They won't have completed their payment, but will try to leave the store with merchandise. Our security guards will bring these customers into a back room and accuse them of shoplifting. The product manager and engineering lead told me I was being hysterical and dramatic, and the checkout would be great. We piloted this functionality in a special store where Macy's tested new technology. Within days, word came back that people trying this new app functionality confidently scanned their items, went through the first checkout screen, and started to leave the store without paying. They thought it was a one-click checkout that was completed after the big red checkout button on the bottom of the first screen. That button started, not completed, the checkout. They exited our app without noticing that the following screen wasn't a purchase confirmation. Upon hearing this, I suggested to the product manager and engineering lead that we go back to having the checkout be the same screens the app already utilizes. They rejected that request and demanded that I make their idea work. I told them we had just learned in live in-store testing that their idea didn't work and I couldn't make the wrong solution work. They suggested that I add more text before and during the checkout to explain how to use it. I told them that instructional text, tooltips, and other types of tutorials are considered bad user experiences. The interface and workflow should be logical and intuitive, and not require explanation, especially help text people are unlikely to read. They told my manager they no longer needed any UX architects on the project because they had all the designs they needed, and I was reassigned. This lie quickly unraveled when I received Jira ticket updates that new designs were being coded and then were ready for release. This is the lean sin of underutilized talent when our company is paying for CX or UX specialists, but we cater to the loudest voices or egos on the team. Use the futurespective or pre-mortem and take possible outcomes seriously. Risks should be documented, understood, and mitigated. Teammates should not be told they are hysterical for reporting potential project and customer experience risks. End of sidebar. Try it. Customer Disaster Journey Map. If you are having trouble getting teammates to understand some of the likely risks, try my Delta CX Customer Disaster Journey Map. It's a journey map representing a possible future outcome where things go badly for the customer. Presenting this from the customer's perspective as if it has already happened can help wake teammates who don't see or care about this possible outcome. It's another story from my time at Macy's. The Beauty Subscription Box project would send people small product samples to entice customers to purchase the full-sized product. The link from the What's in My Box This Month page to the full-sized product brought customers to a page defaulting to a different lipstick color than the sample we sent them. Product and engineering were sure people would notice it wasn't the same shade and change the lipstick color. Product and engineering preferred this over coding the link to show the correct lipstick color to people coming from the subscription box page. Figure 40. Screenshot of the 75 colors one Sephora lipstick comes in. How easy would it be to notice that the default color isn't the same shade as the small sample you received? My Customer Disaster Journey Map envisioned the potential future customer experience. The customer gets a lipstick sample they like and uses the subscription box link to order the full size. They accidentally order the wrong color because we helped them make that mistake. They call customer support, who would be baffled that someone who received the color they ordered is angry and claiming they didn't get the right color. They tell the angry customer to go to the store to figure this out, giving our customer an errand. Our customer takes to social media to unleash their fury at us. Out of frustration, they cancel the beauty box subscription, all because we didn't want to default a page to the color of the lipstick sample we sent. Once my teammates saw the Customer Disaster Journey Map, it hit them. This risk was unacceptable, so they decided to take the time to write the code that would show the correct lipstick color to visitors from the subscription box link. Document risk. Some teams believe that documentation slows us down and makes us less lean. But a lack of documentation hurts us when team members quit, are fired, or join. Joining a company or team shouldn't feel like an archaeologist trying to figure out a Bronze Age civilization that left no written language. Someone from my online community joined a team that told her they had previous ideas that didn't work and needed something fresh from her. But they had no record of what happened previously, and nobody wanted to take the time to talk her through the project's history. Decent documentation could have avoided this awkward and risky situation. Quote, "We don't need an accurate document. We need a shared understanding." End quote. Jeff Patton. Quote, "Until everybody with the shared understanding quits, is fired, or laid off. Then we will wish we had an accurate document reflecting the shared understanding." End quote. Me. In addition to documenting a project's progress and decisions, we should be documenting risks before and after they happen. Document risk in every possible form in which it might appear, including 1. Team members were not given enough time or budget to do world-class work. 2. Wasted time and effort by any of the team members. 3. Guesses, assumptions, or untested hypotheses that we allowed to influence our strategies, decisions, or PSE. Which of our assumptions, if partially or wholly incorrect, could lead to the failure of this project, service, product, or feature? 4. Continuing with a flawed project, even where team members raised concerns about the quality, value, or benefit to customers. Moving forward with PSE that we know now will need to be fixed later creates considerable risk and should be documented. 5. Data showing that the solution the team is moving forward with is not the correct solution. 6. Inconsistent or poor PSE quality, including CX or technical bugs. 7. Issues related to laws, regulations, security, or privacy. 8. Bad actors. What might criminals, abusers, hackers, and people seeking to cause chaos do? 9. Diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. Are we blocking people who are part of our potential maximum target audience? Are we pretending to know or empathize with communities not represented on our teams? 10. Outside forces. Which risks are created by competition, consumer demand, the economy, and world events? End of list. The point of documenting these is to identify potential risks and waste early, and then take action to mitigate these. Make sure they never happen, or at least be prepared for what you will do if the potential risk occurs. If someone claims they will be responsible or accountable for decisions, the documentation would indicate who that is. If your company loves workshops, get everybody together for a risk mitigation workshop. Brainstorm possible risks in all of the above areas. Document who will own or oversee each risk and who will be held responsible or accountable, if not the same person. Consider how this risk can be reduced or eliminated as soon as possible. Define metrics we can watch that will tell us if the risk is happening or if a potential risk was eliminated. Use any risk documentation style your teams prefer. You can also use my spreadsheet template. Web link: cxcc.to/A164. Previous failures and disaster projects should help leaders be more open to trying another way. Yet some seem hell-bent on making the same mistakes again, often in the same ways. What can we do when those in power don't want to utilize customer-centric processes or listen to warnings about risk? 1. Document everything that's going on. Document what you tried to do, what was rejected, and why. Document what leaders decide, how they collaborate, or how they micromanage. There is a slight chance that everything will turn out perfectly. There is a significant chance this project will fail in small or large ways. Document known or predicted risks of taking this path and making these decisions. Try to get the attention of someone lateral to or above you to discuss the risks. If you have suggestions or a plan to mitigate these, present those as well. If nobody wants to talk about risks and mitigate them now, this is the list we bring up after that failure happens. 2. Make sure there are clear success criteria, KPIs, or other metrics around this project's outcomes. How can we tell it went well? How can we tell what failed and how? How fast can we know this? Are we going to wait months for a survey? Can we proactively get customer support to share tickets as they are created so we can see where the problems are? Check for the cost of poor quality. Be careful of vanity or meaningless metrics being used to show success. At one company I was involved with, magically every project showed a lift in something, so product managers could declare it a success. Make sure we have agreed on meaningful metrics related to outcomes, customer experiences, or our North Star metric. 3. You might have to let them fail. Sometimes you can't stop someone from making poor decisions. There might be an ego, confidence, or arrogance mountain that we can't overcome. We didn't break this, and we can't fix it, so we might have to let them fail. Of course, we will only know there was a failure if we have clear success criteria and ways of measuring outcomes. Where a small or large failure was predicted in our risk documentation and therefore avoidable, this could be our future case study, helping promote our new, more customer-centric ways of working. 4. Definition of accountability. How do we hold people accountable for small or large project failures? How do we hold them accountable when predictable and avoidable risks happen, and now we are stuck with the consequences? These projects repeatedly happen when there is no incentive to stop them. Accountability means that there are consequences for wasting time, money, or customer trust. End of list. Empowered teams. Power comes from autonomy, culture, and being allowed to make decisions in your area of expertise. Indicating that staff should work autonomously doesn't mean they are empowered. We will need to take a serious look at our teams and take action to balance power. Keys to empowering teams and team members include: 1. All members are empowered. If the product manager feels empowered but CX and engineering do not, it's not an empowered team. 2. Encourage thinking critically, asking tough questions, and challenging the status quo. We are disempowered when we are afraid to speak up or believe that nobody cares what we think. We welcome someone with a concern or warning, and we should pause to address these early, if not immediately. Staff must feel safe to speak the truth when witnessing or assessing troubled projects. Your culture must promote trust between employees and management. Your teams aren't empowered if you suppress criticism or label the feedback or the person who delivers it as unsupportive, not a team player, or negative. The person discussing the problem should not be seen as the problem. 3. Remain open to ideas and possibilities. If the C-suite or a stakeholder tells a team the exact PSE they must design or build, this isn't an empowered team. These are order takers required to do what they are told. The team should challenge this, and the stakeholder should be open to the possibility that their idea isn't the best or the only one worth considering. 4. specialists make decisions in their areas of expertise. If a QA engineer wants to make an important decision but is overruled, especially by a non-QA staffer, that QA engineer probably doesn't feel empowered. 5. Specialists now in leadership positions manage those in the same specialty. This allows each worker to have a manager who understands the work because they came from the work. The manager has experience with what the worker does and needs and how to best fulfill those needs. The worker has a domain expert to whom they can escalate matters or get advice on handling tough coworker or project situations. 6. Teams are congratulated as a unit. Few things are as demotivating for staff as congratulations or rewards for only some team members. I have often seen only the product manager congratulated when a feature launches or a project goes well. Engineers, CX staff, and others don't even get a mention. One company told me they only reward and congratulate full-time employees. Contractors and freelancers, even those who had worked there full-time for a year or more, receive no acknowledgement. Another company told me they don't congratulate everybody because they don't want to send out emails with a long list of names. Yes, you do. Congratulate and acknowledge every team member by name or no team member by name. Don't only congratulate the team leader or whomever you think of as the team contact person. 7. Team members stand up for what other members need to do great work. Product, engineering, CX, and others on our cross-functional team want to see each teammate getting the time, budget, and resources they need to do world-class work. For example, twice in 2022, I heard about product directors giving some of their budgets to UX so that UX could hire more specialists. Product could have kept that budget for itself, but this is an excellent example of one domain on the team taking action because another domain had an unmet need. Ultimately, the team wins. 8. Get rid of your triads and quads. Many companies go with a triad or quad model, which typically has 3 or 4 roles from the following: product owner, product manager, software architect, QA tester, developer, or Scrum Master. Once in a while, though still rare, you might see a UX designer considered part of the triad or quad, though researchers and other important CX specialists are excluded. Some companies include data and analytics in their quad. These configurations tend to be engineering-focused since the triad concept is often associated with Agile. If you want an empowered team, you will need to empower everybody on the team. We have less empowered teams when we highlight only a few roles as key members or decision makers. Crowning a few people in a triad disempowers those who were excluded and sends clear messages inside and outside the team about who is important or has a seat at the table. The table must include all of the roles relevant to the project. We defer to their abilities and skills in their own domains, and we want experts making decisions in their fields of expertise. I suggest dropping the triad and quad if you want empowered teams who are collaborative and have a sense of equality. If you're keeping triads or quads, make sure a higher-level CX practitioner is an equal voice in decision-making. 8. Watch how you use the word alignment. It's often a euphemism for catering to the highest levels or most aggressive person's requests. Won't we need alignment from leaders when we present our CX and PSE strategies? If we took leaders' requests and concerns into account when we created the strategies, we shouldn't need their alignment later. They should naturally align because they trust their teams to create the best strategies that take customers and the business into account. If your team's carefully crafted strategy is shot down by leaders who demand that it be done their way, you don't have empowered teams. Won't we need alignment when PSE solutions and designs are being finalized? Our CX strategy took business goals and KPIs into consideration. We then designed the best solution for our original customer problem statement. We can socialize these designs with stakeholders and leaders, but if we are under pressure to change vetted, high-quality designs based on what teammates or leaders request or prefer, this isn't an empowered team. 9. Trust and believe in each worker. You hired qualified, capable people from the hundreds who applied. Don't wait until you hear the same suggestions from a Fortune 500 leader or a big, expensive consulting company. The specialists working with you now might next work at these places. Will you then respect them and take their advice? You can listen to them and benefit from their insights and suggestions now, or you can pay 5 times what you're paying them when they return as outside consultants. Do we have stakeholders who don't believe in an entire profession? Do we have leaders who don't believe in research, design, or QA, or fail to see the value they have? Are we hiring people and then treating them with disbelief, distrust, or hostility? This is not empowering. If your company doesn't believe in particular roles or professions, it might be best to not hire those people at all. Open those jobs once there is support and trust for the professionals you would hire and their tasks. End of list. Quote, I was interviewing with famous car brand for a senior UX researcher position. They told me that stakeholder buy-ins are difficult. A lot of stakeholders don't see value in research. They asked what I think about that. I said, I'm in a place in my career right now where I don't want to prove my job to anyone else. I didn't make it to the next interview round. End quote. Member of my community. Can we measure the ROI of a single person? What is the ROI of some of the work our staff does? 1. These questions or challenges put staff in very awkward positions. Did we ask product managers to prove their value? 2. You opened these jobs. You hired these people. They shouldn't have to explain their specializations or value. CX and UX staff are often asked to explain their jobs and the value of their work as part of an ROI conversation. CX practitioners should not show up to a project where teammates don't understand what they do and then have to deal with that environment or stop their work to teach other people what they do for a living. If your teams and company don't understand CX or UX roles, get everybody trained on that. This will avoid later conflicts and confusion, plus the damaged morale of, they hired me but have no idea what I do. Internal staff should not be expected to evangelize their day-to-day work or explain how they deliver returns on the company's investment in their wages. 3. We can know the ROI of a project, but It's hard to know the exact value provided by any one team member. Who on the engineering team do we blame for lowering the ROI because our new feature has a technical bug? If our new feature performs well, what percentage of the ROI should be attributed to a product manager? This is quickly awkward and demotivating. End of list. Sidebar. How do I measure you? A member of my community told me that their new manager, who had been at the company roughly 6 weeks, asked them what metrics the manager can use to measure the individual contributor. A manager should know how people reporting to them should be assessed and judged. A decent manager should not be asking a worker anything like, "Tell me what numbers to watch for so I know if you're doing your job well." It sounds like the manager wanted to hear some numbers around velocity, like how much this CX professional got done in what amount of time. We shouldn't measure developers by the number of lines of code they wrote, regardless of the quality of that code. We shouldn't measure product managers by the number of items they prioritize in an engineering backlog. If we believe in outcomes over outputs, and especially if we want empowered teams, then we cannot measure staff like they are factory floor robots. If your company is speed over quality, then you will judge people by the amount of work they got done and meeting deadlines. If you are quality over speed, then you are measuring shared team responsibility for outcomes. End of sidebar. Accountability. We cannot achieve or improve customer centricity without both governance and accountability. If people are not held accountable for inefficient processes, culture problems, poor collaboration, disaster projects, wasted budget, and negative customer experiences that chip away at customer trust, these issues repeat and grow. Without accountability and a culture shift, this often spirals companies downward toward increasingly poor, customer peripheral, and even unethical decisions. The key question for any experiment, process change, or transformation is, what do leaders, stakeholders, or executives need to see to know that something is succeeding or failing? Without clear success and failure criteria, metrics, and ongoing monitoring, we can tell ourselves we're good enough and continue cycles of risk and waste. We must also consider worker and leader churn. Especially in tech, people stay at jobs for shorter periods than ever, often only 1 to 2 years. Weblink, see xcc.to/A165. When the project results come in and you want to hold someone accountable, they might be gone. Knowing they plan to quit, they might be comfortable doing something risky or unethical since they won't be there to deal with consequences and questions. Therefore, accountability, governance, and standards before, during, and after projects are core to raising internal and external quality. You will need to look at what accountability means to and at your company, how risks are documented and handled, and what happens when people are held responsible for failures. What happens when we document risk, our projects move forward, and the risk happens? How do we hold someone accountable for failing to act on and mitigate that risk? For example, a UX team I coached struggled with a non-UX director who only wanted them to design for larger screen sizes. The risk is known. We have X% of users on smaller screens, who might not be able to use the product. They might contact customer support to complain it's broken and not working on their device. The likely outcomes are known. UX will have to redesign the product to work for smaller screen sizes. Engineering will have to rebuild it, retest it, and re-release it. Future projects will be delayed while teams fix this avoidable problem. The leader claimed they would take responsibility for this decision, but what does that mean or look like? When the company burns time, money, and customer trust because of known issues and risks, what consequences come with being responsible? Will the director be questioned or blocked the next time they try to make a similar decision? Will they develop a reputation for wasting money and be given less budget next time? Will someone else take the project over because we don't trust this leader to make the right decision? Will this leader be put on a performance improvement plan? How do we hold them responsible if people on their teams are sick of dealing with them and quit? We must notice the difference between mistakes and informed decisions. In the above example, there are no mistakes. We know how many people will be alienated or orphaned by not making our PSE work on their screens. This is an informed decision that is high risk. The better we get at identifying and documenting risks earlier, the less that poor decisions will be mistakes. They will be informed and deliberate. Without stricter governance, risk documentation, and accountability with consequences, our leaders and staff have no incentive to do better. There must be consequences for staff, leaders, and people at all levels who ignore solid evidence or make informed decisions that lead to significant risks and poor customer experiences. Start by documenting these situations. Notice patterns and frequency. Put people, especially repeat offenders, on a performance improvement plan. Give them coaching, monitor what they do more closely, and try to shift behaviors toward customer centricity and making lower-risk decisions. If this is a C-level executive or managing director, the documentation might have to be presented to the board to determine what action they wish to take. Governance. Governance over a customer-centric transformation could start with the following framework, which you are welcome to customize. 1. Executive support and an enforcement mechanism are necessary components. Have we identified the execs or leaders behind this transformation? How will we compel compliance with this model when people might want to break the rules? 2. Root causes and problem statement. What problem are we solving? What do we know about that problem? What's causing the problem? What solutions have we considered? Have we analyzed pros and cons of various solutions? 3. Success criteria are tied to quality and outcomes. Metrics will vary based on your industry, but you should have separate business success and customer success KPIs. Create metrics and standards for success or failure as the project progresses. 4. Accountability for small or large failures. If there are no consequences for the people who drove this initiative, or for people blocking the initiative, then there is no incentive to do better. There would be no reason to reduce, change, or stop a failing program or adjust the behaviors of the people making it fail. We said we would hold people responsible or accountable, but what does that look like? Will we block that decision maker from leading an experiment in the future? Did we reduce their available budget? How about a performance improvement plan and coaching? Could they be demoted? I have seen companies demote managers and leaders. Don't exclude it as a possibility. What could happen to someone who blocks the progress of this project? How will they be held accountable? As an example, at the project level, when a design doesn't do well in usability testing or a service does poorly in a pilot test, it fails the success criteria and shouldn't be considered customer ready. If someone decides it's good enough despite this failure, this is an early point where we can hold someone accountable. 5. Training. What do staff and leaders need to learn to be ready for this transformation? What do they need to learn to execute on new processes, team structure, and other changes? 6. Priorities. This transformation will require many changes. What will we do first? What changes will be blocked by other changes that need to happen first? Create change dependency maps. Remember that business priorities and customer priorities might not be the same thing. That cool feature the business wants to build may be deemed more important than fixing broken PSE. How was that decided? And who will be held accountable for continued customer frustration and support utilization and cost thanks to broken PSE? 7. Process. We like to say that we are agile, lean, efficient, and fast. Are we? Are these going well? Are we fast but customers know we suck? Let's not congratulate ourselves just yet. Do our processes exclude the customer? Are we claiming to care about customers and empathize with them while avoiding deeper and more qualitative or behavioral research? Are we willing to go beyond surveys and NPS to truly understand what will make our target audiences satisfied and loyal? 8. Work and quality. Do we want our fastest or best work? We often can't have top speed and high quality simultaneously. How will we balance working efficiently and intelligently with wanting to have an aggressive release schedule? Teams claim to care about the quality of work. Engineers have QA checking code quality and function. CX has reviews and critiques that help uphold quality standards as well as ways to test concepts with target audiences. We must ensure that we plan project time for quality checks and high standards. 9. Costs of time and salaries. Calculate the time and salary that we are spending on the transformation. This might include new tools and new roles or positions. 10. Costs of poor quality. Did we release something to the public or deliver it to a client, but it's partially or wholly failing? What did that cost us in reputation, stock price, customer trust, customer support utilization, negative word of mouth, or customers downgrading or leaving? Did we make a big enough mistake where we had to roll back a software release, undo a price increase, or negate something we delivered to the public? What are the costs of that mistake and the efforts to fix or undo it? 11. Costs of attrition and worker dissatisfaction. We hope that customer-centric initiatives won't make staff unhappy or quit, but it's possible. There might be a storm before the calm as we take steps to improve our culture or deal with toxic leadership. Toxic leadership might quit or be fired, which sounds like good news, but it will take time and money to replace them. Calculate all costs related to losing or replacing staff. End of list.